Nothing says Halloween like a new episode of Korra. This is Enemy at the Gates. In this episode, just like I predicted, Kuvira shows up at Zaofu because it's the last piece of land she needs to take over. But Suyin's not going down so easily. But anyway, Korra shows up and tries to negotiate some sort of arrangement with Kuvira. She tells Korra to go back and talk with Suyin, and until she comes back, she's not going to do anything. But then Korra learns that Kuvira is actually going... Not Kuvira. Suyin is actually going to attack Kuvira. Meanwhile, Varric realizes what he's doing is wrong. Bolin realizes what he's doing is wrong. The two try to escape, but they get caught. Julie pledges her loyalty to Kuvira. And also in this episode, Asami tries to make peace with her father. And sorry if I'm a little slow, I'm a little tired, so my brain's taking a little slower than usual. But yeah, this was a really good episode. It's a really dense and meaty episode. Like, I'm amazed just how much is... More so than any other season, this one seems to really be keeping the plot moving. Because there's a lot that happens, and again, I love how this is happening early on. It's not like previous seasons where we have to wait a while. It's like, we're in the conflict. We're not building towards anything. It's more just, how is this all going to resolve? And Kuvira is a really great villain. I love... Again, first off, I like that we got her backstory. It was interesting, although I feel like most of it was stuff we already knew or could figure out. It wasn't like in Last Airbender when it's particularly a mind-blowing backstory. It's like... It's almost like saying Kuvira was this way all the time. It's just this fueled her fire. Like, there was no, like, Kuvira started out one way, but then she got convinced otherwise. But she's still an interesting villain. That you agree with what she's saying. You understand where she's coming from. It's just she's going about it in a not good way. And I also love how intimidating she can be without doing much. Like, again, like, she understands she can't attack Zaofu or it's going to make her look bad. She needs to get them to submit to her. Or convincing, or, you know, military is a threat, or display power, not actually doing anything. Or how just talking to someone she can convince them to do something. And also there was the force choke where she metal bends the cuffs on Varric's collar and holds him over the tracks. And also Korra's really good. I really like this new Korra and how she's less up and at 'em, roughhousing, and she's more peaceful, anti-violence the other way, which really makes you wonder how this is going to end. I mean, Korra doesn't want to resort to violence. We need to stop Kuvira. At the same time, we need to install some sort of system in the Earth Kingdom that ensures that this never happens again. I wonder if they're going to go for a democracy. Like, that'll be sort of a way of modernizing the world. That'll be my guess, is they're going to take out Kuvira and establish a democracy. But still, it's a really interesting conflict. I did enjoy Varric. I do enjoy how Bolin sort of come into his senses and he's sort of redeeming himself, although I don't know if Opal will be convinced. It was fun seeing Bolin interact with Varric and Julie. The mech scene was pretty cool, although it was a little hard to get into at times because it was very clear it was CGI and it's distracting seeing something that's clearly CGI in a hand-drawn environment, but it was still cool to watch, although it was a little hard to make out at times what was happening. Kind of like Transformers movies, except not as bad. Although it kind of reminded me of Pacific Rim a bit with the psh, psh, psh. I also really enjoyed Asami's dilemma. I liked the conflict she had. It was a nice attempt on the writer's part to try and sort of make Book 1 relevant, because, like, up until this point, like, Book 1 just felt completely pointless, like, nothing in the show. Book 1 really connects to... Book 1 isn't really connected to the other books. It's like, if Book 1 never happened, like, the show would have more or less played out the same way. Like, it doesn't... In the grand scheme of things, Book 1 doesn't tie together, so this was a nice way of trying to make Book 1 matter, in a sense. But at the same, and while I enjoyed Asami's conflict and the bits with her, it did help flesh out Asami as a character. I wonder, is this a conflict gonna mean anything? Is this just gonna be a self-contained instance, just giving Asami something to do since she isn't really doing anything right now? Or is this building towards something? Is this actually gonna happen? And was this just filler and tying this into book 1, or is this actually going to matter? And speaking of characters who aren't doing anything, where's Beifong? She really hasn't done much in this book. I really hope at some point Beifong does something, because she's a cool character, mainly in book 1, so I really hope it's not one of those every other season the writers are going to do something with Beifong. But especially given this is an Earth Kingdom matter, and Beifong's from the Earth Kingdom, and her sister's under attack, you think Beifong would be involved. But yeah, other than that, really dense, really good episode. There are only 2 things that really bother me in this episode. One is Milo. I'm starting to find him a little annoying. He's like, fight, fight! It's like, shut up. I mean, he's telling us what the audience is thinking. I get it, but I don't know. He's just still annoying. And it's also frustrating because this is my first time having to wait a week in between episodes of Korra. Avatar, I watched them all on DVD, like, after the show was done, so I could watch one episode after the other. Korra, same season, the first 2 seasons were out, so I could just watch them continuously. Book 3, they aired multiple episodes back-to-back, so I didn't have this problem. Whereas this season, they're airing 1 episode a week, so it feels slower, and it's also frustrating only getting 1 episode, because then the episode ends, and you're like, oh man, I have to wait until next week now, but yeah, this is a really solid season. I really enjoy it so far. So, that's all I have to say right now. So, what do you think of this episode of Korra? Was it awesome? Are you like, eh? Please comment and let me know. And as always, like, dislike, comment, subscribe. And this is JStar360, and have a happy Halloween.